Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into pre-Columbian America, specifically the Maya, Aztec, and Inca. We've got a study guide here, and we're basically going to walk through the key questions and answers.
Sounds like a plan. A good way to hit the highlights. Where do we start?
Okay, first question is on the Mayan civilization. The guide says they were organized as decentralized city-states.
Right. So think less like one giant kingdom and more like a collection of independent cities sharing a culture. Think ancient Greece, maybe?
Okay. So they weren't all under one ruler.
Exactly. Lots of local lords, sometimes alliances, sometimes, well, conflict.
And their collapse. The guide mentions depleting natural resources, deforestation, soil problems,
Yeah, that's the big theory. They seem to have, pushed their environment too hard.
which led to famine and people just leaving the cities.
It seems so. A powerful cautionary tale about sustainability, really.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift to the Aztec Empire. How was that put together? The guide says mostly tributary states and conquered tribes.
Yeah, so their power was based on controlling other groups who had to pay them tribute goods, labor, that sort of thing.
So not exactly a happy family of states.
Probably not for the ones paying tribute, no. It built in some resentment, which the Spanish later exploited, actually.
Interesting point. And what about moving up in Aztec society? It says here, skill and success in battle were key.
That's right. A bit of meritocracy mixed in. Being a great warrior could really elevate your status. It wasn't purely about who your parents were.
So military prowess was highly valued.
Extremely. Okay, what's next? Inca systems.
Yep. First, the Mita system, a labor tax. But nobles, leaders, priests were exempt.
Mm-hmm. Instead of paying taxes with money, which they didn't really use that way, people paid with their time and labor on state projects, roads, buildings, farming state lands.
And the exemptions show the hierarchy, right?
Clearly. It tells you who is at the top and who owed service to the state.
Then there's the quipu, knotted ropes for writing and records. That's fascinating.
It really is a completely different system for keeping track of numbers, maybe even stories, we think. Not letters like ours, but complex knots and colors.
Amazing ingenuity. Okay, next question. Indigenous advantages against the Spanish. The guide lists having more warriors and defending home turf.
And those were significant initially. The Spanish were vastly outnumbered, and the locals knew the land, the terrain.
But it wasn't enough, obviously. The Spanish advantages are listed next. Better weapons, steel armor, horses.
Horses were terrifying, totally alien. And steel swords versus, obsidian or wood clubs. Big difference.
Plus, native allies, those resentful tributary states we mentioned.
Exactly. The Spanish were skilled at turning local rivalries to their advantage.
And then disease. That was huge, wasn't it?
Devastating. Smallpox, measles. The indigenous populations had no immunity. It wiped out huge numbers, probably more than actual fighting did. An unintentional biological weapon.
And finally, capturing the enemy leaders, the monarchs.
Yeah, a key tactic. Taking out the Emperor Montezuma for the Aztecs, Atahualpa for the Inca crippled the command structure.
Speaking of which, the guide names the key conquistadors. Cortez against the Aztec, Pizarro against the Inca.
Those are the main figures, yeah. Targeting the capitals, Tenochtitlan and Cusco.
And the last monarchs, Montezuma and Atahualpa, as you said. Their capture or death really marked the end.
It symbolized the fall of those empires.
The guide also touches on building those incredible stone pyramids and cities without metal tools or large animals like oxen or horses.
Which just makes their achievements even more impressive, doesn't it? It speaks volumes about their organization, their engineering skills, and sheer manpower.
Absolutely. And finally, Inca isolation. It meant they didn't develop currency writing like ours or the wheel.
Right. Geographic isolation played a big role, but look at they did develop amazing road systems, the quipu, sophisticated agriculture on mountainsides.
So limitations in one area led to innovation in others.
Precisely. Different paths of development.
And just quickly, the cultural cornerstones mention key gods, Kukulkan for the Maya, Quetzalcoatl for the Aztec, Inti for the Inca, and maize, corn, as the staple food across the board.
Core elements of their worldviews and daily life, definitely.
So wrapping this up, we've seen variety city-states, empires, unique systems like the Mita and Quipu, incredible building feats despite limitations, and, well, the tragic collision with European
A
expansion.
lot to absorb. These were complex, sophisticated societies.
Definitely. It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How might these civilizations have continued to evolve on their own paths if history had gone differently? What can their successes and ultimately their vulnerabilities teach us about organizing societies and managing resources even now? Something to think about. Thanks for joining this deep dive.